And one of the areas we were doing yesterday and I was doing was accessing digital content online. And then you're also saying that after you have got the digital content online, we also endeavor to use that content in trying to do the teaching and learning with an effort to reach our learners from wherever they could be. Maybe they are far from us, and that is a teaching remote. So my name, for those who have forgotten, I'm Sami from Kilifi. I'm a teacher of biology and mathematics, and I've prepared a lesson. I was to do this one just to demonstrate an example of a biology remote lesson. We're going to look at it, and at this juncture, I want to request you participants, you will be now my students. You now wear the shoe or a cap of a student as I do this small demonstration. So when I ask a question, you can be able to respond as a student. We just want to feel how we can interact with our learners remotely as just.
At least leo wamejaribu. At least.
Bwana Sami, we have lost you.
Kuna mtoto alileta pesa nikakwambia nimeandika hapo nyuma kitabu. Kitabu ka grade shidi. Unakumbuka? Angalia hapo nyuma. Huyo ndio tu mtoto ananipatia pesa. Alikuwa nikakwambia ndio nilikuja nikakwambia kuna mtu ameleta pesa nimekuwekea kwa nyuma kitabu na nikaandika.
Bwana Sami. Bwana Sami, we have lost you.
Kwani Kilifi hakuna network?
Sasa wameanza ile ya jana hawa.
Bwana Sami, I have lost you.
Ni mwahe password?
Kwani hapo ni
kwani mnatumia gani? Hapana, simtumie hii huku. Kwani mnataka kujitesa? Technical
watu wake ni hizi mko.
Sasa hapo password ilikuwa nini? Nani? Mamani? Unakumbuka?
Watu wake ni mko. Mko. Yeah.
At live.com.
Sawa.
Mic testing.
Imefukuka.
Uje kabla sijasema.
Wewe ni watu wa Kenya.
Kieni West mko?
Hebu sikia. Kieni West mko?
Nyeri South jambo Kenya? Hii inaweza tawana.
Imetoka?
Anyway.
Okay, I'm back.
I think Gesha in G small.
Kilifi. Sorry, it's not that there is no
27.
network in Kilifi. The challenge is when we share the system through somebody else. So let me try to share without going to slideshow. Members, are we together?
Yes. Yes.
So I will share without going to slideshow because I've seen when I go to slideshow, the system throws me out. So let me go without.
You are out again. You've been thrown out again.
Keep going.
Hello. I can't hear anything going on. Go ahead.
Sit down. Yeah.
Is there anything going on at the moment?
Sasa ngoja tuambiwa.
Jennifer, please mute your video.
Kwani nao hawasikii? Imeitikia?
Tunaweza pewa lika ya Kahoot kidogo.
I would also agree. Anybody who, not necessarily a student, anybody who needs to understand how it goes can take us through.
Can I? Can I? Yes, go on. Shalom Shinakakut.
Are we in the right meeting or we are lost?
Fellow members,
Yeah, in the right meeting. Good morning again.
morning.
Yeah, we are taking for challenge. That's what is
Hello members, thank you for your patience. Okay, who's sharing? Okay, Bwana Sami, jaribu see what happens. I hope it doesn't throw you out again.
We can't hear Peterson. Is he talking? Tell me, we can't hear you.
okay. I have been muted. So, I'm talking about this lesson. So, members, I wanted to start my lesson. The topic I want to share is it's a lesson on nutrition in plant animals, a lesson in biology on the topic of alimentary canal. So the first thing I'll introduce my lesson, I want to ask you learners, what do I know about alimentary canal? Just one or two. What do I know about alimentary canal? Any member? Now you are my students, so you can give me a feedback. Any member? Mr. Joel, if you can speak, or Madam Agnes, or somebody raising hand.
I see Madam Jane Bogo's hand is up.
Yes.
Mrs. Lasmoshera.
You can say something. What do I know? Okay. In the group you don't have a teacher, anything that you know.
It is a canal.
It is a canal, yes. Any other? One person? One more person? Remember, you're a student now, you're responding, you're in class.
This is, yes.
Go ahead.
This is the food passes through.
Okay, I'm seeing some answers from the chat. Some are saying it's the digestive system. How to do the stomach. Different answers.
Wewe Francis unafanya nini?
Francis, kwani kunasoma na wanafunzi? Umepotea tena. Sama hivi kwa syllabus. Ulijua kufanya hiyo kingine? Pamoja.
Mimi najiuliza after the 2 days tutasema tumesoma nini?
Sasa hiyo
Tutakuwa tumesoma nini? Hakuna. Na unaona ile ni ya Kisumu area, unaona ile radio wega. Ya Nyeri hatire wega. Ni yetu wana twist tu, hakuna kitu kingine.
Good morning.
Morning.
Okay, my name is Salome. Morning. I want us to do a presentation on pedagogies of remote learning. So first of all, those who are still unmuted, please kindly mute yourselves so that we can continue. Those who are still muted, unmute, mute yourselves.
Yes.
So I will continue until if you want to interact until maybe.
Okay, Madam Salome, go ahead and unmute yourself. Madam Salome, please unmute yourself.
I have.
Okay.
Madam Agnes. Yes, Madam Agnes.
Yes.
It keeps on muting. So maybe can you hold it there where it is? But it is unmute.
Okay, fine.
Okay. So as I was saying, we are going to look at pedagogies of remote learning. And in this remote learning, we know it is when the learners are not in school. So in this session, we are going to look at the methods that we can use to promote effective learning when the learners are not there. So I'll try to share, and I hope I won't be dropped by the... So I'm continuing it still, it is going to come. So just be patient. Is something coming up on the screen? Madam Agnes?
Yes.
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 Okay, continue to unmute yourselves, the participants, so that you can have a smooth presentation. So we are going to look at pedagogies of remote learning, as I've displayed there, and the methods that we are going to use for instruction. And as you know, the methods that we have been using for the common lessons, or what we have been doing normally, they can still be used, but only that now in remote learning where the learners are not there, you need to make sure that you are going to involve them. You need to look at how you are going to be involving them more, so that maybe you don't lose their attention. So you need to involve them more. You need to use methods that are more interactive, like the way we are using here. You note that we need people to interact using the chat, they can unmute themselves, maybe, and they can also be able to send their assignments. So we are going to look at the introduction, and this session is going to describe pedagogies that promote remote learning, and all those methods that we can use for remote learning. We are going to look at them. And next, I want us the expected learning outcomes there. This is what is expected of us, that by the end of the session, we should be able to identify types of pedagogies or methods that we are going to use when training or when we are teaching our learners in our classes or the lesson. We are also going to be able to design a remote lesson plan using inclusive pedagogies, and also appreciate the need of learners emotional support in remote learning. So I want to maybe kindly we are going to use the chat, because I don't want to the interruption that has been there. Let us put in the chat what I know about methods of instructional delivery in remote learning, and also what I want to know about methods of instructional delivery in remote learning. So you are going to start with what I know, and then what I want to know. Put that in the chat box. Members, what I know, and then followed by what I want to know about these methods of instructional delivery. And maybe Madam Agnes, you can help me to read some of the chats that are coming in, or Joel. Is there anything that is coming up, Joel? Agnes? Anything on the chat? Maybe someone. What would you want to know about these methods? Maybe you would want to know the methods that are going to be used there. Hope we can even get access to the chat. Yes. Let me continue.
Yeah, continue sharing the
Sammy.
Yeah.
Yes, can you see anything on the chat, Sammy?
On the chat, yes.
About methods of instructional
About the method of inserting what?
Instructional delivery.
Or you want me to share what?
To read them, if there is anything on the chat.
On the chat, methods. Oh, yeah, I can. I want to know which methods I can be used. I want to know how to use them effectively. Somebody saying
yes.
Somebody saying the methods may include demonstration and probably some projections.
Okay, that is correct. So, yes, Sammy, we can get back to those chats. Even during the training, people can go there and check those chats. So we are going to look at the methods of instructional delivery that we have in remote learning. And so what I've shared there is that we have synchronous and asynchronous and then blended. So these are, and just to say that I had said earlier that the methods that we use, we can also use them, but now we in remote learning, where the learners and the teacher location, be able to help the teacher and the learner. So these three methods are used in remote learning, as shown in there in that slide. First, we are going to start with the synchronous, and synchronous is an approach at the same time. So in that first method, the teaching and learning, it is taking place at the same time, or what we say real time. So it has scheduled time. Like now what we are doing here in when we are using the Teams, we can say like right now what I am doing is I'm using the synchronous method, where the learning is taking place at the same time, at this maybe at the same scheduled time. And so we find out that maybe when Zoom the Zoom classes, is the tools that you are using, if it is the Google Classroom, when the teacher and the learner are now interacting at the same time, that is when when we call it synchronous. The next method, which is asynchronous, is when the learning, it is going to take place whereby the learners are given activities that they can do at their own convenient time, and you find out that they can also do that at their own selected location, or maybe where they are. So they can decide, maybe I will do it in the library, maybe a local library around, or maybe they can do it at their home. They can do it anywhere. They don't have to have a specific setup. And also we are saying it can be done at their own convenient time. Maybe a learner, after maybe finishing doing their routine, maybe after maybe cleaning the house, maybe doing all the other chores that they do, then now the learner can come and to do the work that the teacher has sent them. And for example, when we are doing like these the teams, you can find that you have instructed learners to go and do an assignment, and then they are going to present them, they are going to present it. So what the teacher needs to do is only to give a deadline on when those that assignment should be presented. So you find that maybe even in, when maybe the learners, the high school learners, you only, when they are at home, you need to give them the assignment, and then you give them the deadline on when they should have submitted that work, or that the activities that you need them to do, and so that you can also have that time. So the only thing the teacher needs is to give the deadline, but the learners now, they have their own time. They can plan. If the deadline is tomorrow, they can, and the learner can decide to do it immediately, maybe in the evening or even at night, so long as they complete in due time. The next one is the blended learning. The blended method is a combination of the synchronous and asynchronous. So when in your teaching and learning you use the two methods, that is when now we say that you have used the blended instructional method, and this method it gives both the benefits of the synchronous and the asynchronous, because you can find in the asynchronous, you will find maybe there are some advantages and disadvantages, and also when you use asynchronous, there are also advantages and some disadvantages. But when you do the blended, it tends to maximum, or it thing is maximized so that you get benefit of the two, and while minimizing the disadvantages of the two. So in our next activity, we are going to discuss the following. You explain the differences, between synchronous and asynchronous in remote learning. You can be able to tell the difference between synchronous and asynchronous. Participants, maybe you can raise your hand and give the difference between asynchronous and synchronous. Someone? Manase Wanjiro. Manase Wanjiro?
Yes.
Yes.
Can I speak?
Yes, you can.
Synchronous method is when learning is taking place at the real time or scheduled time. Whereas asynchronous is when learning is going to take place when learners will study on their own time, location, e.g. library, and it does not have specific setup, meaning that the learners will learn at their convenient setup.
Yes, correct. Somebody else, in your own wording and your own understanding. Peter Njuguna.
Okay.
Peter Njuguna.
Okay. On asynchronous.
Peter Njuguna, are you there?
Yes. I'm saying.
Yes.
That in asynchronous.
Yes.
A student can be able to do research because there is time.
That is enough. Asynchronous. Yes, correct. You are correct. Geoffrey Karaoke. Geoffrey Karaoke. Three.
The teacher.
Yes. You're not audible now. Please.
While the asynchronized, the asynchronized the learner will do the activities at her own or his own convenient time.
Yes.
And submit within the set deadline.
Okay, correct. We have John Minor. John Minor, Andrew to write it.
In the synchronous method, there is literally interaction between the teacher and the learner.
Yes.
But in the asynchronous method, there is minimal interaction.
Yes. Okay, correct. So we are looking at the advantages and the disadvantages. Even what we are describing, that you can find out that the advantages of the synchronous participants painting. I'm saying that in the synchronous, where the real-time learning, it has its own advantages and disadvantages, and you can go and even further more on those advantages and disadvantages, because you find out that maybe issues or some form of stress. But maybe if it was the synchronous, that learner may be going and do the learning. Kindly let us mute our mics so that we can have a smooth flow. Okay, as I was saying, they're synchronous. Also, we find out that the learners can be able to do research and all that. But also, you can there are some even maybe the validity or the authenticity of that work may be questionable, because the work can be done by somebody else, because the teacher is able to monitor that. Unless now the parents know very well, then they are synchronous. You can find that advantages are there. But the best thing is that we as the teachers, let us maybe blend the two so that we can have the most out of the teaching methods that we have. So we can use the two, the synchronous and the asynchronous. The other was maybe to present a Venn diagram. You are to present a Venn diagram of the three methods of instructional delivery. So what do you maybe I can define the Venn diagram that is there. Draw a Venn diagram to illustrate the relationship between synchronous and asynchronous. So it is just basically two circles. Two circles. Can be able to draw two circles, and then the two circles, they are conjoined together. They are joined somewhere, so that you find that where the between part is where we have the blended. The outer parts, the two, now they are synchronous and asynchronous. So just that to define that question there, draw a Venn diagram to illustrate, and you can find it in the manual, the remote methodologies manual. You can find that Venn diagram there on page 26. So you can find that Venn diagram there. It shows you that the blended is a mixture of the asynchronous and the synchronous. It stands there between, and I think it gives the best benefit according to me, according to my opinion. So the other question there is discuss how to enhance learner emotional support to improve learning outcomes. Discuss how to enhance learner emotional support to improve learning outcomes. We are going to look at that as we go on with the presentation. So just bear with me there. But even when we discussed that learner emotional support, there was the Mwambeni Secondary School. The Mwambeni Secondary School case study that I had sent in one of the chats or in one of the WhatsApp groups, and you can also when I get all the participants in course, I can send that case study about a school in Kilifi that was able to embrace this remote learning immediately the COVID-19 struck. So by 20th of March, the year 2020, that school had already started the remote learning, and they have a lot of outcomes there. But also, even in that case study, the answer caught my eyes was the support that the school was able to provide for the learners, because you find out that the learners maybe could be undergoing other issues in the areas. So you need to ensure learners are given emotional support. Because maybe at that point, it was during the COVID-19, there was so much anxiety. The learners were not even sure when they were to return back to school, or even when they will be able to return back to school. So there was need for that emotional support. And even as when we are dealing with the learners, especially when they are not in the school, they are outside. Maybe they are at their homes, and we are conducting this remote learning. It is important that we offer emotional support and reach out to those learners, and also to support learners. Also something that I thought that should be very important. But even when we are dealing with the learners with the special needs, we need also a lot of support in this remote. Inclusion of new learners at implementation of the implementation of the remote learning. And one of the questions that I would want to pose at this point is, do we need do the special needs learners need this remote learning, or can we involve special needs learners in members? Should we involve them, or we should leave them out?
We can't hear you well.
We should engage them.
Yes. I think I've heard the tips. We need to involve them. We need to involve the learners. We need to involve the special needs learners when we are implementing, and even when we are planning this remote learning. So I think there, when we are involving the learners with the special needs, there is this when you are planning and implementing, and so during planning, especially when you are planning, you need to, when you are planning remote lessons for learners with the special needs and disabilities, it is important to note that their nature, not their nature of the category, or the category that is they have the special needs. For instance, under visual impairment category, there are those with low vision and those with blindness. So these two categories require unique support, from development of the content to preparation of learning experiences, and also in the choice of learning resources and medium of delivery. So when you're doing all those, when you are planning, when you are preparing, when you are making the choice of the learning resources, and even when you are choosing the medium of delivery, it is good that you put in consideration that you have special needs. So you look at during planning to deliver. So before delivery of any lesson, you need to develop the content and package it in a manner that is friendly to all learners, especially these with the special needs. For learners with special needs and disabilities, the content for you should be developed in a way that is interactive, that is accessible, and also usable. So they should be able to interact. So maybe if you are talking about the maybe a video to see, you see that cannot be interactive. It should also be accessible. It should be easy to read for this learner, and also usable. It should be the learner should be able to use that. And also, when you are also planning the learning experiences or the activities, these activities you should adapt them to suit the varying needs. For instance, you can give them more challenging activities, Learners with hearing impairment, you can give them visual, because they cannot more visual activities for them. And then maybe for learners with visual impairment, more activities that involve tactual manipulation, listening can be given. And for learners with physical impairment, you can only give them activities that involve them minimally, because they may be having a problem with their motor skills or their movement skills. So we need to give them activities that will involve them minimally. And we should also look at accessibility, usable media. So the medium maybe the computer or smartphone, it needs to be accessible and usable for these learners. And we know that there are even those gadgets that are adapted for these special needs learners. And we also we should also look at the individualized remote learning plan. We have this individualized remote learning plan, especially for example, if I can give a case in CBC. In CBC, we find that we are dealing with the individuals, an individual. So these learners with with special needs, we develop an individualized education, an IEP. And so we also expect that we prepare an individualized remote learning plan. So this is where you are going to maybe state the need or the disability, and you are going to use their strengths. Maybe note what that learner is able to do, and that you can view this, and what does this learner needs to be assisted or to be given support in. So their plan should include the strategies that are to be used to support this individual learner. And then during implementation, when we are now doing the actual remote learning, that is where we have that what is displayed in the screen. During the synchronous lesson, you should make instruction. You should make or keep instructions clear and simple. Ensure that the instructions are clear and they are simple. And then also vary instruction strategies to cater for individual needs. The next one, you should provide learner-specific instructional support. So it is the instruction should be specific. And then you should use instructional language that is considerate of the individual needs. For example, do not say, look here, for learner with, or listen to me for a learner with hearing impairment. So you should consider it. You should be passionate because you don't not hear or they cannot see. So you should be passionate and keep learners actively engaged during the learning session. So ensure that you keep them engaged, and also monitor learners' progress and offer intervention whenever they need support. And also you should keep this progress record that you are saying, keep progress record for effective implementation of the individualized remote learning plan. That is during the synchronous lesson. And during the asynchronous lesson, you need to develop remote learning activities to adapt them to suit the needs of each learner, and also empower learners to use appropriate assistive technologies. We have a variety of technologies that are assistive or they help. For example, when a learner has hearing impairment, there are some devices that they use. They use to help them to be able to hear, or to be able even to hear well. So those are some of the assistive disabilities that need motor skills, or maybe is physically challenged, or maybe cannot walk. Some of the assistive technologies, maybe they could, they are going to use. So technologies. You should also ensure the learning platform meets minimum usability. Make sure that because they are challenged, these learners are challenged, the platforms, they should meet minimum usability. They should be accessible to these learners. So ensure that it is user-friendly, it is easy to learn, and also to meet the web accessibility. So you should also consider that it meets the standards, among others. So you should also create opportunities for remote learners support through teacher-learner-parent collaboration. Ensure that there is this collaboration between the teacher, the learner, and the parent, so that we can give the support that these learners need. So next, I'm going to look at you're going to look at learner emotional support. As you can see there in that picture, that is a learner who is going through a lot of emotional issues. They need to meet deadlines with the remote learning. They need to meet deadlines. They need to maybe the project that they are handling, maybe it is due. So you find that that learner has some stress. Maybe they are going to be late up to maybe midnight. Some of the things that are stressing them. You can find that maybe they are expected to read up to a certain page. They have been given a lot of this asynchronous method. They have been given a lot of assignments. You find that these learners need a lot of emotional support, and we as the learners, and also including their parents, we need to give them emotional support. As you can see there, this learner needs a lot of support. This learner needs a lot of the teacher to be, or the remote learning to be friendly to this friendly. The more the learner goes through a lot of stress, and it is not good for these learners to be going through a lot of. So remote learning, especially the interaction with the peers and that feeling of stress. So we should ensure that the interaction among the learner and the peers and also the teachers is not hindered. So ensure a smooth flow, so that we can have a good learning, because we want to ensure that these learners make the maximum use of the remote learning. So we need to make the interaction better, or more accommodative, or more appealing. So let us, even when we go through the remote learning, maybe you should look at the background of the learner. You may look at the background of that learner and what is there to home. You should look at the current experience of that learner. Also look at the opportunities for open discussion. Maybe just to be open the discussions on particular tasks and assignments. Maybe even when you're setting the deadlines, ensure that you're involving those learners so that they can be involved. And so you're going to look at the next slide there. So those are suggested strategies. The suggested strategy learner emotional support are that you establish learner's current experience, and that is what I was talking about. What is the learner going through? What is the maybe the family? How is the family? And maybe the needs of this learner, the learning needs of this learner. You can do that. So establish learner's current experience, what they are going through, even with their peers, what they are going through with their parents, and all that. So you can use online questionnaires, or you can use the polls to get that feedback. You can use questionnaires online. So you can maybe tell them, and this is confidential because you are the only one who is going to get the information. So you can ask them to send or to fill in an online questionnaire where you are going to ask them of how they are experiencing the learning experience that they have. And also provide opportunities for open discussions on particular tasks and assignments. Kindly unmute yourselves who are talking. Members, those who are still talking, unmute. As I was saying, provide opportunities for open discussion on particular tasks and assignments. That is why I was saying, if maybe it is a deadline that needs to be set, ensure that you involve those learners. Maybe it is a particular task that is supposed to be done. Maybe the way it should be done, or the way it should be presented, or the way you expect them to present your work. Let it be known. Let it be an open discussion between you and the learners, so that to avoid these issues of the emotional stress or the emotional discouragement or whatever they may be going through their mind. And also, we should also create opportunities for synchronous and asynchronous. Yes, blend them. So create opportunities, synchronous, asynchronous learner collaboration through software like Google Docs, Google Classroom, and Teams. So let them collaborate with these synchronous and asynchronous. So let us not only concentrate on one, let us do the two, or let us do the blending. We also avoid learners going through these emotional challenges that they can be going through. The other one is building a strong parental involvement network. You build a strong parental involvement network with learners at home. So you should also be able to involve the learners, maybe in the learner is going through, so that they can be to offer support at home. The other thing that maybe you can do is to allow learners to engage in call group discussions, breakout room. Yes, because when you find that such discussions, when these learners go to the breakout rooms, some of them you may find that limited to full work, but also those breakout rooms, you can find that these learners are now able to shed off what was under their that was under their chest, or what was disturbed. So you should allow learners to engage in call or in the breakout rooms. And we are going to go through those breakout rooms, and we have sent a slide on making the breakout rooms, because they are going to help these emotional support. Another thing maybe that is that you should prepare rules, or what we are calling the netiquette, and also taking the learners through them. So even when maybe some of us could be going through these emotional challenges, because you're wondering what is wrong with this remote learning. What is wrong? Is it because of my network? Is it because of this? But maybe it is because we are not following the netiquette that we talked about. So we should prepare rules for remote learning engagement. so that each learner is now able to access. They can be able to now to be actively involved without interruptions, because maybe you have missed on a certain point that the teacher was interrupted with the network, or maybe somebody was displaying the screen. So we should prepare these learners and also prepare the rules for remote learning etiquette. Next, I'm going to look at the conclusion so that we may end there. We need to do the self-reflection on our side. What is it that I have learned? And what is it that I need to learn more about? How will I apply it? So I'm going to give this the chance for learners, for you, the participants, to present your self-reflection. What have you learned? And what do you need to learn more about? And how will you apply what you have learned? So I'm going back to be able to see. Can you respond to that? What you have learned, what you need to learn more about, and how you are going to apply. Yes, Jackson Derito. Jackson Derito. Jackson Derito. Jacqueline Morioki. Wycliffe. Lucy Kaniaru.
Yes.
Who are you? What's your name?
Isaac Meru.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you learned what do you need to learn more about, and how can you apply what you have already learned?
Yeah, I've learned about this blended method.
Yes.
Yeah, how I can help my learners with special needs.
Yes.
Really learned something very special that I can create opportunities for synchronous and asynchronous method.
Yes.
Use Google Meet. And also learned about building the strong parental involvement, especially when I'm using the remote learning method, because parents are very much important in the learning process, especially when you are not you are not teaching learners face to face.
Yes.
So,
right. Thank you.
Yeah, but sometimes maybe we need more about those learners, especially where we don't have like now network.
Yes.
We cannot afford these gadgets that is use this technology.
So we have that challenge.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody else? Wycliffe Isaac? Wycliffe Isaac? Jackson Derito? Somebody to respond to that reflection. Wahome.
Madam Salome.
Yes.
I can see some chat. Someone is saying I have revised 3 methods of teaching.
Yes.
Saying avoid using learning synchronous and asynchronous.
Yes.
Another one saying have learned the 3 instructional methods.
Yes.
Synchronous and asynchronous. But there is one member was asking, I want to know how I can teach subjects like chemistry, biology, which are practicals remote. He was asking how do you go after that one. Then another one said, learn how to incorporate learners with special needs using the 3 methods. Saying I need to learn more on learners' emotional support. And saying there is need to do emotional. So those are the contributions from the chat.
Yes. Maybe I can just respond maybe to that, maybe that challenge of maybe the one who was asking about the practice of the chemistry and all that. Maybe the only challenge there, people are practical not to be that difficult using the synchronous or the asynchronous, especially now when they are at home, maybe using any. The only challenge will be maybe when you are mixing the chemicals. I think that is the only place that would be so difficult, because you might say that these learners may not have those reagents that you need. But in some other, you can look at which one now you can use in remote learning. And we are saying that this remote learning, it is going to happen, or it is going to help us even to push the syllabus. So maybe you can, where not applicable, you can ensure that it is happening face-to-face, but where applicable, then now that is why, so that you can be able to cover the syllabus in time. So you can choose which ones you're going to use remotely. So I think that is how I can solve that. The others, thank you for your participation. You can also continue to put your responses on the chat. So we should ensure that when we go back to our schools, our various schools, because use these methods that we have been taught, or we have learned the 3 methods of instruction. Also ensure that you emotional support these learners. Also ensure that you include learners with special needs, and maybe in time your school can be that Mwembeni secondary school, which is being done a case study, and it is all teachers. It is in all the schools, even in this training, that school has been selected. So it may be your school that is going to be selected next. In March, you have been able to implement remote learning. So let us embrace it, and we are going to see the fruits of this remote learning, because it is very important that we are able to conduct it. And as I said earlier, this remote learning is coming in handy to solve the issues of maybe in completion of the syllabus. So it is going to assist us so much. I will stop there. I'll give back to the chair, Mr. Joy. Continue. Mr. Joy? Mr. Joel?
Madam Salome?
Yes, Sam. Can you continue?
Yeah, Mr. Joel, before I continue, somebody was asking.
Yes.
Many of the learners may not have the gadgets. Probably what can we go about it? And I was thinking that we need to start from where we are, or what we are able.
Yes.
And that is where they can use, including even like you said yesterday, the mobile technology and the mobile teaching devices like a phone, using like WhatsApp. You start simple, even as you get to access more complicated, so that we need to have the right attitude as we move, as we talk of the remote learning. We can be able to use from the simplest that we can afford.
Correct. Sammy, that is correct. Let us start from where we are, whatever is available, and that is why we should be able to do an assessment. What is there on the ground? And now we can use that as we try now to get resources to be able to enhance these maybe by digital devices or to develop those ICT centers in our schools. So let's start from where we are. Whatever we have, these children, these learners, they may be having smartphones with their parents. They can use them, and you can start. Sammy is saying you can start from the WhatsApp. They can chat. They can send. Even when the WhatsApp, there's a section where you chat, you talk, and the adults can listen up, and we give a chance to the other. So we can start from there, and we now move ahead. Sammy, go on.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Salome. At least members, we managed to go through that session successfully. As you look, maybe you can applaud Madam Salome. Thank you very much. You can see members are really appreciating. Mr. John, our team leader, is indicating that once you are done, you can finish your lesson because he is coming next on the practical. I don't know. You have some. Okay. So I want to finish this presentation on a lesson that I was talking about nutrition, just as a motivation of a remote learning lesson, and I had good responses by the time I left, and it was good work, and I have seen very good responses on the different parts of the alimentary canal. Then I want to move next. I said in the objective of this lesson, the objectives of this lesson were to identify the regions of the alimentary canal. I have shown you a video clip which you are able to see the different parts of the alimentary canal, also you call it gut, and members were able to respond very well. Before what happened is my machine collapsed. That's why my screen went back, and then it revived back again. But I've been following now. The video checking I want you to look at this chart and give me some components that you can see in the mouth. You can use your chart again, or you can raise your hand to tell me the components of the mouth. Just name them as you can see. Is somebody writing something, or is somebody somebody is saying my network in Ashida? Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, thank you. Somebody is I can see the responses. Tongue, is gum, very good. Salome saying tongue, is gum. Veronica, is audible. You hear me? Thank you. Say you can hear me clearly. Thank you. Somebody just take him out. Somebody seems okay. He's very observant. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Students, you have done very well. Now, you have identified those parts. I agree with you. We can see the teeth. Some of you have 32, others are less, depending on your age. We shall look at the details of those in our next subtopics. I've seen somebody talk about the tongue, which is very good.
Hello.
Yes? Hello? Somebody is talking. Okay, let's continue. Helga said components of the mouth, tongue, teeth, saliva. Very good. So now, I was saying, now look at those parts you have mentioned. You have given me those parts. Now, for every part you have mentioned, could you try to tell me its role? For example, you have talked about the teeth. I want you to look at this one. I have another clip here. Let me narrow down to only this part. We've looked at the whole clip. Just look at just this part now. Because what you look at first part of the mouth. Okay, we should not go into breakout rooms. We will remain here as one team. But I have this question I'm posing to you. The parts that you have mentioned, what role do they play? Somebody mentioned tongue. Let me hear. What is the role of the tongue? Learners? Role of the tongue. I want to start from there. I want to get a response. Who is raising? Yes, Sitati Waswa. Sitati Waswa.
Role of the tongue is to mix food.
Mix food. Thank you very much, Sitati. Another one. Oh, Joseph has answered me about the teeth for grinding food. Caroline saying thanks for me mixing food.
Frustrated kama jana.
Anything? Swami, can you hear me? Seems he's out.
Bwana Sami, we have no.
The presenter is lost.
Presenter tafutiwe backup.
Swami, are you using 4G network?
Maybe 2G. Hello.
Tukatiza huku, wako wapi presenter?
Hapa. Twendeni break kwanza, twendeni break.
Unaona presenter atakuja, ameingia meeting. Mshamwona?
Wewe tunaenda break kwanza.
Nenda kunywa chai.
Health break.
Nani amesema?
Nani amesema health break?
Health break, please.
Break. Tango one.
Karaoke to break.
They're together.
If someone has gone missing, then Mr. Girl should guide us accordingly.
Yeah, and just
Let me now take over.
Proceed.
we mute our mic to give Bwana Sami ample time for his presentation, please.
Can we have a health break? Joel, now what should we do now that some has gone?
Bado zinaisha bwana Joel, tupewe head of the break.
Don't worry, they will be reimbursed.
Hey, Bwana Joel, twende break.
Watu wameshoka mapema. Break of 20 minutes.
No, the problem is the presenter. The presenter, Sikiki, we give him time. Prepare kidogo.
Yeah, can I have a break?
Time.
Hello, members.
Hello.
Members. Has a technical hint. Let us just give him 2 minutes to resume. Is there any way? Your mic. Continue with the Bwana David Mutana. Mutana.
Can I confirm your location?
Hello, morning. Hello.
Your views.
Hello.
What's what? Kindly
Rapid.
Can we have a help, please?
Caroline M. You are English.
Hello. If you can hear me, kindly raise your hand.